Today we're just going to make a small video in how to DeFi the system YouTube channel to basically discuss the cryptocurrency market, what you should be looking for, what the crypto market can become, and who else you should be looking at on a informational level for some of the correct vision and methodology to be applied in the crypto space. So obviously there's a lot of innovation that's been occurring, and a lot of people have been creating new technology. Now, the cryptocurrency that I'm the most interested in is Cardano, and it's got a ticker symbol ADA. And Cardano was created by former Ethereum founder Charles Hopkinson, and he has done an incredible job of creating a culture which is based upon studying and finding the best solution to a problem. And because of that, they've spent the last couple of years peer reviewing papers upon which they built the Aurora's proof of stake model, which was in testnet but was then launched in this year onto last year onto mainnet. It was launched onto mainnet and has since become fully decentralized in this year. And the length of time that it took them to develop the correct software, the correct technology to solve some of the issues in the cryptographic space, which came up out of a rise of a technology that was needed and had been sought after for many years, but would of course still have inefficiencies compared to all of the other technology that can be created after more thought and more time has gone into it, right? Bitcoin started the wave. Ethereum developed the first way to create programs on it. And those are both revolutionary happenings, revolutionary technologies, discoveries. So of course they hold merit and they hold the value that they have within their market capital. But to move forward and to create something which the entire civilization can work off of to solve the solutions that are presented before us in terms of socio-political, geopolitical, the idea that, for example, governments or individual countries can dictate what we as a populace. I mean, if we've seen with anything of the rise of the internet is the interconnectedness of people through culture. While there may be divides, there is much more, especially within the younger generations, where, you know, things go viral. Everybody likes the same things, especially when you take out the miscommunication within cultures or languages, right? And that's something that numbers, monetary value transfer, money, currency can do very easily. You know, the DeFi space has been growing, and you don't always need to know the language at which was created in. There's many people that are probably using Google Translator just to get onto DeFi things because they know what it is, and now that they have this personal knowledge, they can do more with their life, with their funds, right? Even if they're in a worse position. And so what Charles says, and I firmly agree with him, is that the evolution and revolution of the blockchain technology will not come with people that already have a good system of banking and a good system of stable monetary funds. And the reality is that we might be slipping more into that, you know, even people relying on the dollar and the euro and the British pound and, you know, other currencies, will start to see that falters with the recent inflation because of COVID-19. However, that's prediction and I can't say much for that. But the reality is that there's a lot of people that don't have a stable currency. They don't have a very efficient form of payment method, and that's in Africa. So solving that problem, and there are many cryptocurrencies trying to do this, but in my belief, the one that has taken the longest time to do things correctly will be able to do a lot of the things right. Enough of the things right to grow considerably in market capital, but more importantly, to leave something stable. And this is what leads me to the culmination of the reason of creating this video, which is if you want to invest in something, you don't want to invest in something that's a pump and dump. You don't want to invest in something that's just going to be here one day and gone tomorrow, just to potentially make a 10x or 100x or 1000x on, you know, a little bit of money. What you want to do is have something that you can comfortably say, because of the technology, the leadership, the reality of where it's going, the same way you would with a stock, right? There were many of my grandparents' generation which basically would work for a company, they would get stock in that company, and that would be what they had. They trusted that company because they worked there, and that company did right by them for their entire career. And that stock which was given to them has enabled them, especially the dividend stock, and that's why a lot of the older companies are dividend stocks, that's given them the ability to live, right? And the reality is that with the lack of trust we've lost in companies, that's harder to do. And decentralized systems of cryptocurrency enable us to take that power back. Because as long as we all trust each other, we don't have to trust any centralized organization. And the only way everyone can trust each other is if there's some trustless network to trust in as well. Because we create characteristics within our behavior, in culture, in norms, but we also need to have a form of value transfer, which is indicative of making economic functions occur without any conflict. So I made this video to say, invest in technology, not in hype. Realize when something has a good technology and when it does not, right? There are cryptocurrencies like SafeMoon that have transactional taxes, and they have relative use case within their phase of growing, and can potentially stay stable as a form of investment. However, when you start to take a coin like SafeMoon and assume that it can have a wallet and a payment method, how would you want to pay for something when every time you had to pay it, there was a 10% transaction tax? That's the same reason why you wouldn't want to pay with something directly with Bitcoin, because there's a high miner fee associated currently with the current code. So why would you want to pay for something and have to pay $40 when now it's less? The fact of the matter is, if these systems will replace what you're currently using, they have to be cheaper. And that's what Cardano has provided. But also, easier than that is sometimes this can just be the method that's available, and there is nothing as good. And that's what I personally believe. And if you watch some of Charles's videos on his own YouTube, you can easily see that he has the belief and also the roadmap for delivering those types of changes to Africa and whichever other country or individual requires them. And decentralizing the process of being able to access both funding, a reliable and stable investment method, and to go off that point, what I mean to say is that when you hold ADA in the correct wallet connected to a system which allows for staking, a staking pool, then you earn what will average out to be about 5% a year, APY. So if you can collect and save, or even if currently you can purchase, for example, 100,000 ADA, before ADA reaches, let's say, $10, then you would have $1 million in US dollars of ADA. and being paid 5%, you'd be earning 50K a year. Now, that would have to assume that ADA is at around 500 to 600 billion market capital. Now, that would occur if they're starting to have market dominance in specific countries, and potentially then also the companies that would invest in them because of it. Because that's what a lot of the capital is currently, and it still has a considerable chunk of money in it, and a high market capital. Now, that being said, once it's at 10, assuming it got all of Africa, which is about 4 to 5 trillion in a market capital. However, I believe that personally, there's probably more transactions that are not necessarily registered, and creating better systems for people to transact would allow those transactions to become registered. That would, of course, also be kind of an after effect. So that would be a 10-year potential trajectory, right? So now, that being said, at that point, I believe at 5 trillion that you would see, 100 per ADA. So sitting with 10 trillion, you could have 500,000 a year just from staking rewards, while still holding on to your original equity stake in the network. So at the end of the day, it also provides a way for people and businesses to provide a relatively risk-low, and that will occur, more towards these higher levels once the paradigm begins to snowball as it has, and more organizations realize that it's kind of the only option, and it's the best option for specific cases anyway. Then it will begin to snowball, and different organizations will be looking for the cheapest method to go about doing this. And Cardano has been focusing on creating that ecosystem, especially with developing their own hybrid language based off Haskell to actually communicate in a financial manner with the smart contracts that would be run on the Cardano network once smart contract capabilities get deployed in about August. So the reality is that it will become a much more valuable asset, considering it's already ingraining into African use cases beyond currency, which enables it to get more stability, especially if you consider the staking rewards, because the transaction cost still has to occur. So this video is just to say, hey, check out Charles, check out Cardano, check out what they're doing, check out the community. I believe that, if we do it right, there could be a lot of good done. There could be a lot of added global economic growth. There could be a lot of lives changed. There could be a lot of good stuff that can happen. And, if you're watching this and you like it, comment, share, push that message out there. Let's get more people clued into looking into technology in the cryptocurrency space rather than just hype and simplified tokenomics that don't actually provide any long-term real value. But we'll see, right? Again, if you want to invest in something that pumps, those options are available. I may even still showcase those options for what they are, right? But at the end of the day, technology is where it's at. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. And this was how to DeFi the system.